Hi, and welcome to MC Podcast, episode 24. Today in studio, I got the one, the only, Mr. Kyle Vosburgh.
Yep.
Kyle, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good not only to be here, but to just be at the office, back around. For most of us, I know Kevin, as a joke today, wore his name tag, so everybody know who he was. But it's kind of good to be back around and try to tie everything together, sitting down at my desk today. So
Absolutely, I think so. I had a meeting this morning, and I had a webinar that I had to go with, kind of a webinar meeting, and then managers meeting. And so about noon, I sat down at my desk and made my to-do list for the week. You know, and so definitely. But I mean, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
I think we're fixing to get some fall weather here.
Yeah.
In Anna, I think we're looking at some 40s for the weekend.
Yeah.
So the air's getting crisp. Leaves are starting to turn.
Yeah.
It's that time of year, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of turned on us. It's especially when you're on the road a lot like we are. I mean, it's kind of like you come home. It is a whole new season. I mean, you come home in the fall, basically. Yep. We leave mid-June, early part of July, and really start hitting the road and come home, and things have changed, and football started up and whatnot. So it's kind of busy.
So football started up.
Yep.
Yeah, Katie Jo, my oldest daughter, went to her first high school football game Friday night.
That's awesome.
She's a freshman this year, so she said, "Dad, can I go to the football game?" And I was like, "Man, I didn't." I was kind of like,
Mark was like, "Which sport is that?"
This is sketchy, right?
Mark's not always the biggest. You're not always the biggest sports fan.
No,
you hang in our sports conversations, but you have a threshold of sports talk.
I have a threshold of sports talk, but. So she went to her first high school football game, and so actually came back and talked a little bit about it. I got some text messages in the middle, just scored a touchdown, so I was keeping up with it. But football starting.
Yep.
Is there a fantasy football league for the office this year?
So there is a Master's Choice League, and not only am I co-host, but I'm also reigning fantasy football champion. So. Just kind of wanted to get that in there because there's a couple guys in here who are part of the fantasy football league,
and they work all the time, and so they couldn't keep up with their fantasy football.
Yeah, they don't have enough time to check, so that's kind of the issue. So, but yes, as the main office, and some of you have heard, some of us are good at fantasy football.
Some of us are good at our jobs.
Some of you guys are good at your jobs, and I could tell you some of us are not good at fantasy football. I'm not going to name any names. A lot of them were in your manager's meeting.
So
and
isn't that interesting? The ones who are good at their jobs and are actually managers at managers meeting are the ones that
are really bad at fantasy football.
And the one who
kind of goes out and does everything is just like all over the place. It's just like, he's really good at fantasy.
He's really good.
Yeah.
So you got your fantasy football team.
We had our draft. We did. Everything's good to go. So now it's just it's actually kind of fun because everybody seems to be in the office around, except for sales guys. I mean, they're out and about. But so the talk on Monday morning is usually pure fantasy football here. But
especially when you come to my office.
No.
R&D's
pretty. Yeah. It's pretty much how was your weekend, and then then everybody on the phone for the rest of the day.
Definitely. So football season, but then guess what else is coming up just in a few weeks?
Deer season is knocking on the door.
Yep. So absolutely. So in fact, Gus and I were out the other day. We were running cameras, and by the time we started heading back, there were two does standing between us and the house. And can you guess what Gus said?
Dad, I want to shoot the deer.
Well, he did. Yeah, it was along those lines. It was, Dad, you got your gun?
It's like,
wait, we gotta wait.
Yeah, we have to wait.
We gotta
especially
wait
for a gun.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's crazy too because we live so close. I mean, Kentucky just opened this past week, so of course, those guys who look at social media, we're already seeing deer go down and whatnot, and we don't get that luxury. I'll be in Minnesota here in about a week, and they will be. That's all they'll want to talk about because the week I go to Minnesota, that Saturday is opening archery season. So all those guys are talking about deer season.
Yep.
But
So we're getting close. So
Yeah.
so you know, like you said, you've been out and about.
Yep.
Been running around. We kind of come home and it seems like a different season and all of those things. So tell us a little bit about where you've been the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So about 5-6 weeks ago, I kind of started. I did a little bit of the Midwest. So I knocked out Wisconsin, Indiana. You know, came back around home, did some stuff in Illinois. After
Now, what stuff are you doing? You got to explain
So
this.
research plots. So basically, a large majority of my time was spent looking at the advancement plots in Wisconsin, and then we have a bigger research plot in southern Wisconsin that I spend some time at. So mostly note taking over the last couple of weeks, connecting the dots between what we're looking at in experimentals and what we kind of want to bring towards in our lineup. And then I've also kind of done, made my appearance. Everybody here has kind of made their appearances at field days and whatnot, speaking and being at some dealer meetings and stuff like that. So, sales is just as busy as we are right now, getting out and talking to guys about buying corn, and an R&D guy almost always accompanies them to just kind of talk about product knowledge and stuff like that.
Sales guy, they can sell stuff, but they don't know things.
Exactly.
That's what I've always said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we are the ones who make up the lies that they tell anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Toby and I did some sales calls last week, and we were the 1-2 punch.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Toby just tells them stuff, and then I tell them.
And the other one swears by it.
Exactly. Yeah.
No doubt. So anyway, back a little serious. So you're out these plots.
Yep.
And our advancement plots are where we are looking at material that has not made it to our lineup yet.
Yep.
So this is new material. Sometimes it's early stage. Sometimes it's stuff that may come in this year. You said you're out there taking notes. Candidly, really and truly, what do those notes kind of look like when you're taking notes?
So there's a couple different standpoints. So in an advancement plot, I mean, we're seriously looking at these hybrids to make it into our lineup. Okay. So those notes are mostly how I see them regionally. So do I think I can move this hybrid north? Do I think I can move it east and west? What time of year is it? Are we talking about all around agronomic things like leaf disease and whatnot? Am I there a little late, where I'm talking about stalk integrity? Am I, things like that. Okay. It kind of depends on where I am in the silage harvesting window and whatnot. And it also kind of depends on, a lot of times it depends on, what do we have in our relative maturity with some of those advancement hybrids. So what am I when I look at a hybrid, what's my benchmark agronomically, and how does this stand up to it? Just how we do it nutritionally.
And you say this like it's real professional, but I have seen these notes because I've actually been out taking some of these notes, and sometimes the note, you walk out in the field, you go, ooh, ugly.
Yeah.
It's just ugly, right? Hybrid ABC is ugly, or we do get one. Hey, maybe a little bit of leaf disease, but better, package than our benchmark, whatever it would be for that relative maturity. And you're right. We have these hybrids benchmark. We oftentimes call them cornerstone. That we judge everything else by. And they're proven hybrids in our lineup. And if we can get stuff, we're not going to bring anything into our lineup that doesn't yield as well or better. That doesn't have as good a disease package as better, is not agronomically as sound, and then we're going to throw on the nutrition. If it's not as high level nutritionally as those benchmark hybrids, then we don't bring them in. But you're out there, you're looking. So how are things looking overall?
So overall, things are pretty good. I think this has been a really weird year for the Midwest, especially. I kind of segregate so I did the Midwest and Pennsylvania mostly. I kind of segregate the two because they are so much different. Whereas last year, New York and a little bit of Pennsylvania had some issues with little rainfall, with some droughts. Pennsylvania looked incredible this past year. They just kind of had the weather and the rain that they needed at the right time. The Midwest seems to be a little bit more hit and miss. So I know that there are some parts of Iowa that dealt with some pretty heavy wind and rain and whatnot early on. Wisconsin looked really good. I think there's a lot of good corn in Wisconsin. Kansas was about as big of a flip of the coin as I've ever seen. I mean, I was in parts of Kansas. Mind you, I made my way from basically Kansas City down southwest all the way over to Colorado basically and back. and it was very, I mean, from what I had heard talking to growers, it was basically like every 30 to 40 miles was a different story.
No
it was
kidding.
just, circle. So the first place I was at, they'd had little to no rain since the middle of May. The next place I went to, they had actually way too much rain and they were too wet. I mean, it was very hit and miss out there, which isn't usually typical for Kansas. They seem to all, play the same role. They kind of have all the same weather patterns across the state. But I think all in all, things are looking good. We're just now kind of getting USDA reports. I talked to Michael Lake and our other part of research and development. He said USDA starts rolling in and they're kind of throwing numbers out there. I haven't really heard any yet, but I think we'll kind of be on par this year when it comes. And USDA obviously runs off grain numbers. So.
Definitely.
But all in all, I think things look good. Our advancement plots look good. A lot of the hybrids look really good coming up.
So here's a question. I'm gonna let you answer this, okay? Do you have any favorite experimentals coming out?
Regionally, yes. So there's one in Wisconsin, which was 467Q, I believe.
Okay.
That one was a rock star across all locations. And then there's kind of a handful going out towards Pennsylvania and whatnot, and about that 100-day material. I'm not really ready to kind of talk about it till I connect the dots and whatnot, because you're not going to do this. You're not going to give us a little bit of a preview. So there are some really good-looking things in that relative maturity.
But
when we're talking about our 100 to 110-day lineup, it is stacked full of good hybrids. So, I mean, before I start coming out here saying we've got the next 5660 or 5250,
I want to say that. I didn't ask you that. I just said, do you have a favorite?
Yes. 518R is the one that I think is a favorite of mine.
All right. That's all. Hey, that's all. Hey. You have all the right in the world to be wrong.
And yes.
Okay. Yes. But I just thought I would ask a question.
Until I sit down with you in October and November and I see the spreadsheets light up in the nutrition categories, I'm a little lenient to say which ones I like.
That's okay.
But
that's okay.
There are a couple
there are a couple that you like. Anything in the longer season that you're seeing that you like? So
there are some things coming through that in the longer season, about that 112. A lot of the stuff I'm actually liking, and that relative maturity is still about a year away from experimental testing.
That's fine.
But it is there. I mean, some of the things that we're pumping out, and I know you've seen quite a bit of them, that we've kind of worked with Cullen and whatnot, and bringing forward and boosting that part of our lineup. I mean, I think it's really good. I think this may have been the best year I've ever seen 6360.
Okay.
It is.
No, that one's already in our lineup.
That's already not. Yeah, MCs, and obviously most of the time I've seen it as MCT 6363.
Yeah.
I think in that part of our lineup, I don't think I've seen a more versatile hybrid yet. Okay. I mean, it looks good everywhere. It looks like it's finishing well and doing well in Wisconsin. It did awesome in Florida and Georgia again this year. So, and then obviously we brought that new hybrid lineup, 6653, MCT 6653, which is dwarfing many other hybrids.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, things always get taller in Kansas, but it was almost like overwhelming how tall it had gotten out in parts of Kansas. But so we've got a lot of good new stuff in our lineup.
Good. So we've also got kind of a new program kind of going there with some Starch Plus kind of hybrids. How are those looking out and about?
So I really like them in Kansas and whatnot. Yeah, okay. I thought they looked really good. Now we have 5 or 6 locations, and I've seen about 4 of them. Okay. Kevin took care of the other one. It was in Ohio, and you guys are really lenient about putting me in Ohio because I'm from there, and you're afraid I may or may not come back.
No. It doesn't have anything to do with you coming back or not. Because if we didn't think you were going to come back, we would definitely leave
Send you there all the time. Yeah.
We're doing this to protect you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We delivered you.
Okay, from Ohio. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so we we don't want you to fall back into those same old traps.
Understandable. Yeah.
Okay.
So I did. Kevin took care of that plot, but all in all, that program is looking really good. I know we still know we're about 2 years out of a commercial production line, but.
I'm excited about it.
We're extremely excited. I know to put it through the paces, farther than we have nutritionally, but agronomically, I mean, it's really good. Yep. There's no downsides at all to it. I see it just being kind of fitting in perfectly agronomically and just as an all around good hybrid, good lineup set.
Yeah, definitely. And those are some new some lines that we could call them, some new genetic lines that that we've developed and that we're looking at, and going to bring some really neat characteristics into play.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
Definitely.
Well, and the neat thing about that too is that with those new lines, we can kind of bring them in new hybrids in ways that guys are kind of used to. It's not like we're bringing something so crazy and new management style wise that's going to change a guy, and make things harder for him. It's going to fit in with what they're already using. And we've been using complement hybrids for a while. I mean, Kevin's all big about that. He'll give you 2 complement hybrids that work well together, and that's what these guys are going to fit in as. They're going to fit right in with your other hybrids that you're using on your farm right now. Just with what we believe will be a lot better starch numbers. Higher starch availability.
But the agronomics on those
are great,
are phenomenal.
Which we've said a lot of times, and you'll see guys out there. Usually, when somebody brings something big and bad and new to the industry, agronomics are sometimes go on the nutritional side, and that's always kind of been a knock to the chin. But this is agronomically sound. I mean, we're extremely happy with how we see it in the field.
Yeah, we're happier with it than we are with you.
I would not debate that.
Big bowl gets the job done. Not going to sit around and play fantasy football all the time.
Hey,
I know. I get it.
All right. Moving on.
Moving on, for sure. So you've been out and about. Yep. Let me ask this question. We've been talking corn for a minute, but have you had any good food while you've been out and about?
Food. Well, obviously I went to Kansas. And I took a new sales guy who had never been on the road before. On the trip back home from the west side of Kansas, the western part of the state, he politely asked that we not eat barbecue on the way back home because we had so much barbecue on the trip west. I mean, I don't really have a threshold.
Did you kick him out of the truck and leave him there?
When he told me the way he cooks his steak, I almost did. And I told you all about that he told me standing in the line at one of the best barbecue joints in the Midwest that he eats his steak well done. And I told him I would not repeat that to anybody else at the office. But
well done?
Like crispy on the outside, well done.
Oh man, yeah. I don't even. I feel like I died a little inside when you said that.
Yeah.
Well, why would you eat well done steak?
I don't know.
I mean, so for a guy speaking from experience, I can see why you don't always order the blue rare.
Yeah,
right.
Blue, yeah.
You know what I mean? I get that, right? From experience, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, well done. You might as well eat charcoal.
Yeah, you might as well.
Because you get no meat flavor.
Just do us all a favor and order a burger.
Yeah.
Just order a burger.
Yeah, if you're gonna
get it well, just get a burger and fries. I respect that. I mean,
Why would you defile a cow in such a way as to just burn it up?
Well, and we all know.
We offering sacrifices now?
And we all know if you order a medium rare steak, most of the time you're going to get a medium steak. So if you order it well done, what are you getting?
Yeah.
It's like
crispy critter.
Yeah.
I mean, I like my bacon a little crispy.
Yeah.
But not my steak.
No.
I don't know.
So other than that, I mean, I had a couple. There's a really awesome burger place in Dubuque that I had never had that you and Kevin kind of swear by. The
Watershed Cafe.
Yes, I did eat there, and my goodness,
Wrecker Burger.
You need to find a place to stay quickly after that burger. You get very sleepy. I noticed that burger is a very large helping, and Kevin said that we needed to find a hotel or a place to stay within the hour because you get really tired if you eat it past.
There have literally been times that I've been like, I'm not getting that burger because I have to drive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to have to drive.
Especially when you're by yourself and you have to kind of keep yourself going and you've been on the road a while.
I'm like not going to do that.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I was actually down in Amarillo last week. I guess I was down there and man, I had a chicken fried steak. It was delicious. White gravy with some jalapenos in it.
Yep.
On some real mashed potatoes.
Wow.
It was almost a religious experience.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, the Hallelujah chorus broke out. The clouds parted.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I mean, there are certain things. So a friend of mine picked me up at the airport in Amarillo, and he said, it was right about lunchtime. He said, where do you want to eat? I said, look, Ricky, I said, I don't care. I said, there are 3 things that I want to eat when I'm down here.
Yep.
I said, I want to eat good barbecue, okay? I want to eat a chicken fried steak, and I want to eat Whataburger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that trip, I had all the time to get 2 out of 3. I did not get my Whataburger.
Well, sadly, we had a little episode at the house this weekend. You know, I'd been home. I got home Thursday night.
Yep.
I'd been home all weekend. We had a long weekend, and my wife tried to break into my stash of Whataburger ketchup that you had brought me back.
What?
Yeah. She's like, "Oh, you didn't tell me this was Whataburger." Like, that was intentional.
That was intentional. I'm not going to tell you that.
I'm not going to. I tried to hide it under some other.
That's a good way. That's a good way to. I mean, that's one of those.
Those
things.
are one of those grounds. You're like,
yeah, I know.
like, I didn't realize until you brought me some back. Like, I don't even know what the fancy part is of the ketchup, but it is so good.
It's love.
Yeah,
It's just Texas love.
It's like,
right?
oh man. But yeah, I had this tiny little stash in the fridge, and she was like, "Oh, this is Whataburger ketchup. I've heard a lot about this." Like, yeah, you're gonna keep hearing stuff about it.
Don't touch it.
Put it back. Yeah.
No doubt. You should probably let your wife have some Whataburger ketchup.
I did.
I'm going on the record to say that.
I was
right?
nice. I did. And
Okay.
and most of the time she's hard to convert. A lot of times she's just like, well, I like good food, but food is kind of food, but she was even like, this is really good. Like,
it just is.
Yeah.
I agree. So you know, we've been out and about. Are you traveling next week?
Yeah. So I'll be in Minnesota doing a field day and taking some notes in an advancement plot, and then I'll jump over and do a little bit of stuff in South Dakota where we've got some advancement plots. So, and then after that, it's pretty much just kind of hit and miss. A lot of them are kind of go and see the corn and come back, and then obviously we're past silage harvest in a lot of places. So, you know, I'll be kind of just looking at late season plant integrity and some stuff, and kind of.
So, are you going to be doing some silage harvest while you're out and about? I mean, is that?
Yeah, I mean, there will probably be a little bit. From what I'd heard in South Dakota, they are not getting the GDUs that
Really?
they've had. So they've had some issues, and then there's some corn in Michigan in some advancement plots that we pushed relative maturity that may or may not finish because of how cold it's gotten already.
So just for a little bit of a technical point here.
Yep.
You talked about GDUs, growing degree units.
Yep.
Or growing
Yep.
degree
Yep.
units. Okay. And basically, you know, we call corn a certain relative maturity. We may say this is a 105-day relative maturity. But depending on how much heat it gets, it may take it longer than 105 days to get there, right?
Yeah, and I mean, essentially something that goes really long. So what I'm saying is so 6150 we pushed up, you know, into the thumb of Michigan, which guys up there are not using 111-day material. They're just not. They get better digestibility out of material more in that 90, you know, about around that 5250 kind of 102-day material stuff. But a lot of times we'll push stuff just to kind of see how it reacts.
What it does,
and it has been very cold and wet up there recently. They've had not a lot of rain, but they've had a lot of spells of 2 inches overnight here, 2.5 inches overnight here. And it's been chilly. I mean, upper 40s or low 50s overnight and whatnot. And growing degree units, you know, are based on the heat of the day and then the overnight temperatures as well.
Okay.
So it's based on, and that kind of equates to how much heat that hybrid is getting. We use relative maturity as that is a marketing tool. And I tell guys all the time, especially when they're looking at our EXP lineup, relative maturity is not given to a hybrid until it's brought commercial. Right. Mind you, we look at something knowing, like I can look at something and say, this is a 112, 113-day hybrid, and we'll figure out which one it fits better. And, you know, when we do put together the GDUs, we can tell what day it really is.
And it's called relative maturity.
Exactly, relative maturity.
It's not specific maturity, it's relative maturity.
In my honest opinion, growing degree days is a more recognizable scientific understanding of how long it takes a hybrid to black layer, but we don't really use that. And then also, it's kind of like how the U.S., I mean, we use, you know, inches and feet and whatnot, and everybody else uses the metric system. You know, Canada does not typically use GDUs.
No, they use CHUs.
Exactly. So, it's
Canadian heat units.
Yeah, which,
Yeah, and there's... Yeah, and it's just a different way. And in fact, I go in, and if I go up and talk about relative maturity, they just kind of look at me because they want to know about CHUs.
Yep.
And so that's definitely for sure. So we've been out and about. We've been looking around. We've been doing all of these things.
Yep.
We've had some good food. You got some favorite hybrids. You know, I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you're gonna get in trouble, I'll get in trouble. But worst place that you've been here lately.
Well, I mean, I'm born and raised in Ohio, so it's almost always going to be Michigan.
I thought it was going to be Cleveland.
Yeah, no, I know you actually were going to say Cleveland. No, I mean, there's different things about everywhere in the country. I mean, I like going to Kansas and eating that Midwest style barbecue. You know, I don't get to go to Texas all that often, so I don't get that. But I like there. Pennsylvania is, you know, there's places that are nice and beautiful, and the best bow shop in the world is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But it takes a long time to get from point A to point B. So we're out looking at plots in Pennsylvania, you know, and you know, we meet up with the guys at 9 a.m. We might not get out of the truck till 12:15 to walk and to look at the first plot. You know, all the places out there are so far from each other. It takes so long to get from point A to point B. But I mean, it's been good. There have been weeks where I'm like, okay, you know, let's stop and grab something to eat and it looks good. There have been weeks where it's like, we're going through Wendy's and we need to keep on trucking. I mean, you have those weeks. I know when you first get out, we all kind of get in that groove where we don't care where we got to go. You know, we got to get to where we got to be. And we got to be. I know with you guys, you drove to Pennsylvania, New York. I think Kevin made that trip 3 weeks in a row, you know, and it's when you're making that trip, you basically just gotta
we were like central
put your
New
head
York,
down.
Cortland. I guess that's kind of western, but it's still a little bit central. Yeah, no, and that's when we went to Cleveland. Yeah. And like I said, we rescued you, son. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So in all fairness, and I would like to put this out there, that I tried to help you. All right. I'm standing in a cornfield, okay, in basically South Central Kansas. I get a text message from Scott Harris, our sales manager, and he said, Kyle, I can't believe I'm asking you this, but we're going to stop in Northeast Ohio, and I would like some advice into where to stay. And I said, okay, I can help you. You know, send me a screenshot of where you guys are going to be on your route in Northeast Ohio. So minutes later, he sends me a screen capture. I say, don't stay anywhere where that red line is. First of all, start there. I was like, do not stay there. Nowhere in that red line is good to stay. And he against my better judgment and better wishes, took you guys to a part of the west side that I thought was going to be okay. And you guys ate at a pretty cool restaurant.
We did. We ate at Melt.
Yeah.
It was good.
Which to the Northeast Ohio folk, it was
spot on. Yeah. I had the Cuban Sandwich there.
Yeah.
I had some special name, but man, boy, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. But he first took us to a place to stay that was sketchy at the least. I mean, I don't know.
Sketchy is a really nice way.
I mean, sketchy is like
borderline
maybe,
scary.
Yeah, I mean, it was like so. I mean, I'm country boy. You know what I mean? I like wide open spaces. I was in Idaho a couple weeks ago, and I told them, I said, look, just tell Mandy to pack the kids up and tell her where I'm at. Just come find me here, right? Yeah. I said, I'm gonna go to work for Mr. Barry. I don't even know what Mr. Barry does. I'm just gonna go work for him tomorrow. You know? and so I like the wide open spaces, but we got into that part of Cleveland. I thought, boy, this is scary. I you know, Kevin is not as pretentious as I am, and he is not as particular about places to stay as I am. And he wouldn't even stay that place. Yeah,
we've all had
sketchy.
some bad.
It was sketchy,
and that'll put you on it when you're in that rush and you're just trying to find a place to stay. It'll be. I bumped into you guys over in Indiana, and it was. I told myself, I was like, I'm gonna go to Indiana tonight, and I told my wife, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna keep driving. You know, I'm south of Milwaukee. I'm gonna go down to Indiana, and she was like, okay. I was like, well, I know I'm going to hit the timeline. So I either go to Indiana and hit the timeline and get some sleep, or, you know, and when I ended up across the timeline at 1:15, there was slim pickings for hotels. Like, and I saw you guys park somewhere, and I was like, oh man, everywhere was packed. It was 1:15. I was like, I don't care where I stay tonight. Just help me.
No doubt. So Kyle, glad that you're back in the office. Yep. It's good to kind of hang out and catch up for a minute.
Oh yeah.
So believe it or not, I really do appreciate you. Appreciate the work that you do. We give you a hard time about it, but you know, we gotta keep you. It's like you're like a puppy, man. You don't brag on it, or it'll pee in the carpet, right? Yep. And so that's the same kind of thing. But no, we really appreciate you. Really like you a lot, and glad that you're back around.
Yep.
And so I guess it'll be another couple of weeks before we get to sit down and see each other again.
Yeah, I'll be gone, and then deer season. We got World Dairy Expo. It's about to.
I think we're on the same. I think we're on the same team this year for World Dairy Expo.
Probably they want a lot of the. They really load up the big guns early on.
Absolutely.
No offense to anybody on second shift. I'm just saying.
It's okay. It is what it is.
Just saying.
No doubt. So good. So appreciate you, buddy.
Yep.
Hey, you guys out there listening, thanks for listening in today. And remember always that we are social. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, and always at seedcorn.com. You guys take care.